Yeah. Welcome to another G4 Guitar Teacher Hangout. My name is David Hart, here live from Japan. What I'm going to do today, the topic is called working on your business, not just in it. And the reason that I really want to touch on this topic is because it's something that I think, especially amongst the G4 members that we have at the moment, a lot of them are really getting this. They're getting to that, they're understanding the importance of working on their business and not just in it. And I think it's kind of, they're at a point now where if I can sort of offer some more information and just really let them know they're on the right track, because one of the things about working on your business is it sometimes seems like it's not going to pay off, or it seems that you're kind of thinking that I should be making some money, I'm not getting paid here. And so if we go to the extreme of working in a business, it might not be your business. A lot of the time it's somebody else's business for those who have got jobs. So when you're working for someone else, you're getting paid by the hour, and you might get paid at the end of the week or the end of the month, but there's a kind of guarantee there, and it's the hours that you put in, you're going to get paid exchange for cash for those hours. So it's very easy, very simple, very straightforward. And so when you go to the other extreme, which is a business of investing into your future, the payoff is not immediate, and sometimes the payoff doesn't come until years later. And I can use G4 as an example. I go back to 10 years ago when I started G4. G4 was of no value. It wasn't worth anything. I basically found Allocation. Nobody knew who G4 was. I'd only just come up with the name not long before that. And so there was no value. And here we are today, and the value is well over $1 million. It's probably more, but that's the value that's been created, not to mention the value that I have gotten from the business over the last 10 years. What it's done for me, and how it's allowed me to have the freedom and the position that I'm in now. And this is really comes from working on the business. The value of the business today is not from working in the business, it's from working on the business. Working in the business was necessary at certain times due to cash flow, not having the money to be able to pay someone, and starting and also doing it right and setting up systems, etc., which I'm going to talk about. But having that long-term vision, if you can really think about your business, where it's going to be in 10 years, especially for the guys who really, unless you're 90 years old now, thinking 10 years is what you should be doing. And if you're in your 20s, even better, because believe it or not, 10 years will go fairly quickly, and where you are today, if let's just say you're 25 and when you're 35, you'll still be young. And the way things are going, and it's going to be quite young in the terms of how life longevity is going. The average person today lives twice as long as people 50, 60 years ago on average. So just to give you an idea how life is extended, and therefore you need to look at 10 years as being a fairly short period of time in your life. And so by focusing on that 10-year horizon, then you'll do better work today, and you'll spend more time working on your business rather than in it. So let me just go through a few things here, and where this was inspired for me, or where I originally got the ideas from for my business many years ago, was through the book The E-Myth, which is a hugely popular book now, but when I bought it, it had really only just been released. It was a new book, and I've always been reading business books, and it was one of those books that you read and you read from start to finish in a day, and you just sort of like, wow, that's just totally changed my whole perspective on things. And that was one of those moments, and it was a long time ago, but had I known that it would take so long to actually implement the E-Myth, maybe I wouldn't have been so excited at the time. But at the time you read it and you go, wow, this is it, it's my Bible, it's my new path to freedom. But what you realize is through the process that it actually takes years and years and years to actually develop it, and not just to develop the ideas in the myth, but also to develop a mindset and to really get out of the habit of working in your business and to have that faith to come in to working on your business. So just to take it, let's just dive in a little bit further. So what's the difference between working in your business and working on your business? Well, it's fairly simple. Working in your business is doing the jobs that need to be done as a day-to-day task. So, such as the teaching, taking inquiries, enrolling students, doing your admin, your banking, your accounts, all that. That's working in your business. Really anything that you think that you could pay someone to do and that doesn't have any long-term value. Now, I know those jobs are important, but they don't actually build any value into the business. Doing your accounts, doing your banking, or doing, enrolling a student, that all is, like I said, important, but it doesn't actually add value to the business. It's just a job that needs to be done as part of the business. So that's working in your business. Even your teaching is just a job that needs to be done. Working on your business is all about developing systems. So an example of working on your business is maybe looking at how you process an inquiry. What happens from the point that they call you to the point that they actually turn up and enroll? What do you say? What emails do you have that they need to receive? What materials do you print out and collate for them? So they're all your systems, and by working on your system and then delegating it. The idea of a system is it needs to end up out of your hands. So it starts with you, you develop it, but if as Gerber uses in the E-Myth, is the McDonald's idea. And if you think about McDonald's, Ray Kroc, who was really the mastermind behind McDonald's, but it was also the McDonald's brothers. When they created McDonald's, they couldn't have, what have they got, 30,000 restaurants or something? They couldn't be, serving every burger themselves. They couldn't be cooking every burger themselves. McDonald's is just a whole series of systems, but those systems didn't happen overnight. They took many years to develop and create, and they're still developing those systems. So when you look at your business, what we often do, and it's really interesting because I spoke to a friend recently who I haven't seen for a while, and he's got a great business, right? He's making quite good money and doing really well. But the guy works like crazy hours. I'm talking 12 hours a day minimum. And when I went to his office, and wow, man, you're doing well. You look at all this stuff you got. You got heaps of stock, and you got sales, customers, inquiries coming through literally every minute on his email. So it looks like he's doing well, but what he's actually done is built himself a prison. He can't escape it. Just to go to lunch, which we went for lunch, you could see that he was checking his phone and he was worried about, I've got all these orders coming in. It's like he can't stop the flow of what's coming in. And he's at a point now where he's decided to quit. And even though that he's got a great business, he's making lots of money because he's a really good salesman. He's a great guy, but he's just overwhelmed with the amount of work that he's got to do. And the problem is, and I know that problem very well, and many business owners are in this position, is that they get the business, but they don't have the systems to manage the business that's coming in. So if you this comes from him not working on his business and working hard in his business. So if you in your situation can look at the systems that run your business, the things that happen on a daily basis or a weekly basis, then things like how do you reconcile your bank accounts? Who does that? What are the systems involved in doing it? How long does it take you to do that? If you can look at all those kind of things and systemize them, and by systemizing, what I mean is you have to know every single step that's involved in the process, and there has to be either an explanation or some kind of training if you're going to hand it over to someone, because you are going to. There's only two ways. There's only two places that a system will go, and one is that you'll delegate it to an employee where you'll train them to do the job, or you'll automate it. So it'll go to a computer or a robot or whatever can do the job. That leaves you out of it. That's all you need. And what you end up, if you think about a car is, and this is how again Gerber explains it. It's a key start operation. So if you're in a car, then you start the car, and the car is actually does everything. All the systems are working in the car. But you still have to drive the car. You've got to hang on to the steering wheel, and you've got to press the accelerator, etc. So, but there are very few things that you need to do to that car. The systems do most of what needs to be done. So what you need to do within your business is look at how you can design it like a car, so you can get it to the point where all the systems run automatically. So when you press a button, a whole series of things happen. So thinking about inquiries, and that's why I'm developing the software at the moment, is that when you have an inquiry come through, then you want to kind of have it automated, so you're not cutting and pasting emails and doing all this sort of stuff. You want to automate it as much as possible. And there's no end to this automation, by the way. We often think that there's a start and an end point. We create it, done, it's done. There are things that do that, but generally, if you want to keep up with times, you want to keep up with business, things are progressing all the time. So if you don't do it, and that's what I said to my friend, if you don't automate your business, someone else will. Someone will come along and see, hey, this guy's got a great business, it's all working, he's just working like a crazy man to make it happen. I'm going to take all his ideas, everything he's doing, and I'm going to put it into a business. I'm going to automate it all. So it's all very simple and easy to use. Again, you know, I've used these examples many times, but if you come back to looking at Uber and Airbnb, all they've done is automated the process of getting a taxi or getting a driver, someone to take you from A to B. Airbnb have automated the process of booking a room somewhere. They don't own the hotels, they don't do anything other than they've created an automatic platform where people can do it, and then they get a commission on each and every booking. So think in those terms. Think in the terms of what it is that you can do that'll make your business go a little bit quicker, a little bit smoother, your system. And one of the things that happened, and this is, and the reason I was using this example of a friend, is that I said to him, you realize you could create a database, an automated database that'll do a lot of this stuff for you automatically, so it'll save you a lot of time. And his reply to me was, yeah, I know I could, but I'm just a small business, so you know, I'm not a big business, so I don't think it's worth it. It's just easier for me to process it. I've thought about it before, but it's just easier for me to do it rather than. And so what we tend to do, and I was guilty of that as well, is we tend to justify the fact that, hey, I don't have a lot of clients, I don't have a big business, so why bother doing all that? Why spend, you know, days or weeks or months even developing systems around, you know, a handful of customers? And that's kind of his idea, is that he gets about 10 customers a day, I think, and he thinks that there's no point in spending a lot of time creating systems for those 10 customers. And I understand what he's thinking, but the fact is that once you develop those systems and you start developing systems, you change your mind. You realize, actually, now I can deal with 20 customers because my systems now, I've created enough systems that save me enough time that I can get more done. So that opens you up to do more. So even when you look at something within your business and your systems, if you look at things, even if you can shave, you know, if it's let's say it's a 5-minute process and you can shave 30 seconds off it, then you know you're taking 10-15% off the amount of time that you need to use. So you increase your productivity. Now, at that 5 minutes, you expand that over a day, or expand it over, you know, 100 clients, customers, whatever it is, the process. Then you can see that it really starts to add up, and that's just one thing. Add one or two things a day and do it over a year. You can see that, you know, 500 or 1,000 30-second saves really adds up. And that's how businesses are built, and that's working on your business. Creating the system often takes a long time to create an effective system. The G4 guitar method is a system, and and you guys appreciate it and you realize it, and that's why you're here. But most guitar teachers don't. Most guitar teachers are operating on this kind of no system situation where they're sort of writing things out and making things up, and, you know, handwriting tabs and having no organization around it. Because the other thing about a system is it doesn't just you know, cut the time down, but it also decreases error. And that's why, you know, you look at the airline industry, they're so system based. Everything they do is about systems. Everything must follow a system. Even if you look at the military and you know, these organizations that are life and death, anywhere where the person in control, and I'll make this distinction, the person in control, as life is on the line, then you will find the systems are full on, that it's all about systems. So that's why I use the example of the airlines, because the pilots, they go down with the plane as well as the passengers, and they're military because, you know, it's their life. So these guys are very serious about following procedures and systems. When you look at, you know, in banking as well, because banking, it might not be life and death, but it's money, and it's a lot of money, and often if their systems aren't right, they're in real trouble. So anywhere where there's a system where it's either the person in charge's life is on the line, or you know, there's a lot of money at stake, you will find some serious systems set up to handle that situation. So hopefully that kind of clarifies the difference between working on your business and in your business. So the question that you want to ask is, how do you spend your time? And it's really worth doing as an exercise, is to spend a day just noting down how you spend your time. You can get some apps that you can use, but if you can just do it on a spreadsheet, and just write down, okay, what am I going to do now, and put in the time. I'm checking emails, all right, 10 a.m. and then you come back and you go signing off emails, and it's now 11 a.m. I just spent an hour doing emails. I didn't actually work on my business. All I did was reply to people. All I was doing was working in my business. So there's an hour gone that I haven't actually worked on my business. What am I doing now? It's 11 a.m. What's next? All right, I'm having a meeting with a client, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Bang, there's another hour, not working on my business, again working in my business. Now I'm going to take a lunch break. Now I'm going to clean up my desktop. Now I'm going to start teaching for the next 4 or 5 hours. Bang bang. I haven't worked on my business. There's a day gone by. That's why I'm going to stay where I am. And what happens? The majority of guitar teachers, the majority of music teachers, the majority of people really end up building themselves a job. So they work on their business in the beginning, where they don't have much business happening, so they don't have really much choice but to work on their business. So what they do is they work on their business. They get up to, and this is typical music teachers, they get up to about 20 or 30 students, and then they're so busy working in their business that no longer have any time to work on their business. So on their business gets forgotten about, or just totally, there's no time for it. So then they spend the next 20 years or 30 years or whatever working in their business. They end up being, 50s, 60s, whatever, when they retire, and they're still earning $50 an hour teaching guitar. They haven't done anything in all those years. And I look back on the first 10 years of my teaching, and same. I really didn't do much in terms of working on my business. I worked on my business at different times, because what I did was that I would start up a guitar school, build it up to 30, 40, 50 students, and then I would grab all that money, save that money, and then I go overseas for 3 months, 6 months, sometimes a year, spend all my money and come back and start again. And I did that probably a dozen times before I sort of thought, hang on, I need to build an asset here. All I'm doing is building a job, taking the money and going and playing for whatever. And that's what I did. That was my 20s. It was a great time, no regrets, but I didn't really, or there are regrets, but I didn't build an asset. Had I instead spent those 10 years building an asset, a business, as I've done with G4, which is a very different model, then I would be in a much better place than I even am today. I would have been, at 30 years of age, I would have been set. But I didn't. I just really is that time. I was just teaching, like I said, working in the business. So if you don't want to be that guitar teacher, you don't want to be that person who is 50, 60, whatever, and is constantly working in your business, to the point of where you retire like an employee of your own business, then you need to really start thinking about how much time you work on your business. And the more time you can spend working on your business, the more you'll grow your asset. But as I said before, and this is the big one, and I kind of want to end it on here, is that if you are thinking short term when you're working on your business, then you're probably gonna, you're not going to be that happy, and you're going to feel frustrated. You've got to think long term. You've got to have that 10-year horizon. You've got to say, where is this business going to be in 10 years, and what am I doing now? And this is the question that I want you to think about, is what am I doing now, and how will that help me in 5 or 10 years from now? And if what you're doing now has no effect on helping you in 5 or 10 years, then you need to think seriously about whether you should be doing it, whether you should delegate it, or whether you should think seriously about changing what you're doing, or you should start with your mornings, spend a couple of hours every morning working purely on your business. So say you get up, I know some of you guys are doing the miracle morning, get up at 5, spend your first hour doing your meditations and affirmations and all that, but working on your business, by the way. That's a different thing. Affirmations are actually working on your business. But from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. or whatever, then use that time to work purely on your business. Spend that time and say, everything I'm going to do for the next 2 hours is on my business. It's not in my business. I'm not going to answer emails. I'm not going to do accounts. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. Or what I'm going to do is work on developing a system for my business. And even if you spend that whole 2 hours shaving 30 seconds off one task, the experience of it alone will be worth it. Just getting into the habit of doing it. So I'll leave you with that. Now, questions. I'll start with you, Michael. Do you have a question you want to ask? If not, I'll throw a question at you.
No, I think that's really good timing. Yeah, it just reminded me of another friends of ours who also teach as a couple. They're vocal teachers, and they're getting into their sort of 60s and 70s now, and they're still teaching from home. I haven't seen them for a while, but I know a few students of theirs, and they said, oh, their rates have gone up again. So even when I attended their lessons, it was quite expensive. So they're up to something like $85, $90 an hour. And I thought, well, wow, that's pretty full, and it's obvious because yeah, they're going to lose students because of that. But they obviously need, getting to that point where they need to do that. They're still doing, I think 50 students a week. I mean, I can't imagine being, like in my 70s and working, doing 50 students a week. So it's such a good thing that we're sort of learning this, or that I'm learning this now. There was actually my question that I had to ask was to do with building a system to do with the sales. So what I'm noticing is that a lot of the inquiries that I get, most of them, have been to the website first before they call me. So the idea I have is having more of a pre-recorded video funnel on the website, so that it kind of starts off with an autoplay video, which is like, hey, Michael from G4 Norwood, have you come here to make an inquiry? And then sort of ask them a question like, is it for yourself? Is it for your child? And then just have links down the bottom so they can click and go, yep, it's for me, which takes into another video, which then goes through what I would normally say over the phone to an inquiry about practice requirements and how the method works, and getting them to think about their favorite artists, and still trying to build that connection, but obviously not in person over the phone. To try and lay all this groundwork so that first 15 minutes of a phone call that I would usually get that information across has all been done. And then so would you like to find out what times or more information or whatever? Then give us a call. That way they're already sort of educated on half of that stuff, and I have to spend less time on the phone with them, I guess.
Yep.
So I thought, and there's going to be times when, you do need to spend that time as well. But I figured if that could be sort of, if people are ringing up saying, yeah, I'm ready to go, like I've watched the videos, and that might shave some time off. So yeah, I guess I wanted to get your thoughts on that, and if there's anything I should be wary of, or
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, and even I know that I could do a lot more in this area. Because as you get into system building, you realize that there's so many systems you can be building. Literally infinite numbers of systems that can help your business improve. And each system, they actually act as what we call platforms, in that they build on themselves. So that's why I've got a guy who's just, I won't sort of put any names out there or say anything just at this point, but I've got a guy who's looking at opening a whole series of G4 guitar schools. Not just one. He's already got one very successful school, but he wants to open a whole bunch of them. And how he came to this was that he basically has been working on the idea himself for a long time, and realizes the amount of work that's involved. And he's come into G4 and looked at it and he's gone, wow, you've got it all. You've got the whole thing I was thinking about. It's there. It's done. Beautiful. And so he's come in really excited because he understands. He really understands the process. And I'm excited. And hopefully we can work something out. But he's someone who really appreciates, and no offense to the kind of average, suburban guitar teacher out there, but the average suburban guitar teacher who's got 30 or 40 students is not thinking like that. What they're thinking about is, can this guy get me a few more students? That's the limit to what they're hoping to get out of G4. They're not thinking about how much time they'll save, expanding their business, opening multiple locations. Yeah, they're not thinking like that. Where this guy is, and so when he's got to come in and seen what's there, he realizes, man, the amount of systems that you've got is just incredible. And it's like there's so many more. I feel like I'm only 1% of the way to where I want G4 to eventually be. So what you're talking about there, Michael, is fantastic, because what you want to do is go, okay, what are the 3 top questions that everybody wants to know, and create a video, a short 2-minute video that answers those questions. That's what I would do. Just go for the 3 top, and it has to be you, because you're the man behind the business, and then they'll see you, they'll understand who you are, they'll know who you are, and then when they get on the phone, then they feel like they already know you, and that happens to me a lot. Oh, I've seen your videos, I feel like I know who you are, and occasionally you get someone who goes, I think you're an idiot, I hate your videos, I hate what you do, you're all about money or this or whatever. That's fine, cool, you're not my kind of customer, great. I didn't have to bother talking to you on the phone. Just get an occasional nasty email. But that's what you want to do, is you do want to put yourself out there. You think about, so a lot of people don't realize, and I'll use it as an example, they don't realize how clever Donald Trump is. Donald Trump is a very, very smart man. The comments that he makes, it's hard to know whether he really believes half the stuff he says or whether he's just doing it to get media attention. Because he said it in his own books, he said it in his own, that he knows how to get free media attention. So he's getting literally billions of dollars worth of, exposure. He's got the media eating out of his hands for free. It's costing him nothing, and he's doing it, just by making comments, but this, that, and the other. He's able to get suddenly everybody watching him. He walks into some area and there might be 4 or 5 or 10 other. At the moment, he's getting more attention than Obama. Okay, he's more known on a global scale than Obama is right now. So, I don't care what his political agenda is. Some of the things that he says are pretty scary if he truly believes them. But the fact is that he knows how to get the media's attention. So my point here is that when you put yourself up there, then what you're going to do is people are going to see you and they're going to decide whether they like you, what you do, or they don't like you and what you do. And either way, it's fine. It doesn't matter, because what you want to do is get to the people who are your kind of customers. You're not trying to please everyone. You're trying to get to the people in the crowd, so to speak, who do like you. We know this from music. Okay, if you play your music, you play your music. If you're trying to please everyone with your music, what will happen is that most people will go, yeah, that's not bad, yeah, that's nice. You sound a bit like this, or you sound a bit like that. And what they do in their minds, they're thinking, that's nice, Michael, but I'd rather go to the original guys who do it much better. You do it well, but these guys do it really well. So you don't actually polarize people in any way. What you really want is them to either go, man, I hate your music, it sucks, it's terrible. Or you want someone who goes, man, that's brilliant. I've never heard it like that before. That's great. So that's the polarizing of, whether it be music or art or personalities, whatever it is. Polarizing is a very common strategy. But yeah, do the videos. Make sure you do them. Yeah, and try and create a 2-minute video if you can.
Yeah.
All right, brilliant. Joachim, have you got any questions on the topic or any ideas that you want to share on it, on working on your business and not just in it? Any examples you can give us of your own experience of working on your business? Any things that you want to work on your business in?
Yeah, well, I think maybe one thing is the things that you don't like to do, find someone that likes to do that.
Great, yep.
Because they might be like, oh, that's great, I have this, I can do this job, and that I don't have to do it myself. But I am looking forward to the FileMaker system when it's ready,
Yep.
because that will take away some time on the sales.
Yep, definitely. The thing with the FileMaker system, and the reason that I'm spending so much time on it, because you've got to remember, I'm spending a lot of time on it and I'm getting paid for it right now. This is, again, a very good example of you know, the opposite to the job mentality. And so where I've spent, you know, somewhere between 500 and 1,000 hours on just this particular file, not to mention you know, prior to that time that I'd spent learning how the program actually works and how to you know, the software. So I've invested a lot of time in it, and my own copy that I use, it works well. It's not great. There are a lot of things I'd like to do to it, but I know putting my time into the one that I use, is beneficial to me as my business, and that's why I put time into it. But the one that I'm going to doing for you guys and for, you know, anyone who really is going to use it in the future, is that I know the value of it. I know that this is going to be something that is going to, you know, literally, it's not just going to take time off, you know, shave time off your kind of routine tasks, such as enrolling students and printing certificates and emailing, all that sort of thing. It's also going to allow you to stay more organized and keep your information in front of you, and to do things in a much more logical way. And also, again, as I said before, reduce error. And so, yeah, it should be good. And look, you know, I need to get more feedback from you guys, and that's why, just so you guys know, next week I'm going this time. I'll be presenting what I've got so far, and I'll get some feedback from you guys at this point. So yeah, hopefully you guys can drop in next week and have a look at it. Unless in Michael's case, the baby arrives, so you'll be preoccupied. How long, Michael? 2 weeks away, did you say?
Yeah, a couple of weeks. So we're looking at the 10th of February.
Okay,
So
cool. All right,
yeah.
We'll be all anxiously awaiting the results. See how it all turns out. How you handle fatherhood. That's the big one. Okay, thanks, Joachim. Fernando, did you want to add anything?
Yes, hello. I hope you can hear me well, because I'm out and about.
Yep, perfect. No problem at all.
Oh, good. Yeah, my question was definitely working on your business, like you said, is the main thing you have to do in order to be able to grow later on. In the beginning stages, though, what I'm finding is obviously you're doing everything, right? From flyering to queries to all the rest. So I guess my question is, how much time you reckon one should allocate? Because to me, at the moment, should be more a case of, okay, I'll work an hour a day on my business, and then whatever I got left, you see what I mean? I'll manage the rest. Because if you, right now, I can find time. I can find something to do with my time, because I've got lots of things to do, right? Because I've got to do the flyering and the teaching and all the rest. So is there any idea on, how much time you reckon? Or does it change over time? You spend more time, less time at the beginning and then more at the end, or how does that work?
Okay, so it comes down to priorities. So the way things happen is that you need a certain amount of money to live on, to pay your rent, to pay for your house or whatever, you know, your food. So you know that amount. The idea is that you want to get to that point to where you've got enough income to be able to get through the week and survive. And then from that point on, what you want to do is focus on creating more time and focusing a little bit more on the priorities of. So it's kind of almost like a thermometer where once it drops, your income drops. Say you lose a couple of students and it drops, then you've got to go back to focusing purely on your marketing, get your students back up to that point, a little bit over, maybe even 5 or even 10 students above what you need, and then go back to working on your systems. So you can actually pull your marketing back and not do as much marketing. Or you can pay someone else to do the marketing. So there are lots of ways to leverage, and that's what I guess we're really talking about here. So, for instance, you're out now doing the flyers. Is that right, Fernando? Is that where you are at the moment? Microphone off. I can't hear you.
Yeah, sorry, I'm back.
Yep. Go.
Yeah, I'm back. I am doing flyers. Yes.
Okay, great. All right. So what you're wanting to do is think about how many hours a week do you do now flyers? What have you got allocated to yourself?
15.
15, okay, right. So what if I said I could turn that into 5 hours for you rather than 15 and give you 10 extra hours to work on your business?
Beautiful.
Okay, cool. So it sounds good, right? So what is it going to cost
Yeah.
to pay someone to do those 10 hours for you? How much will it cost, do you think? $20 an hour, 10 hours, $200 a week? Sound about right? Sounds like you're cutting out a bit there. Yep. Okay. Cool. All right. So for $200 a week is all you need to pay. So what you need to do is go, okay, how do I get? What's it going to cost? How do I get $200 a week? And so you think about, okay, an average student is $25 a week as a group student. Therefore, I need 8 students, so I'll get 10 just to create a little bit of a buffer. So what you do now is you say, okay, from where I am now, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to go hard on the flyers until I get those extra 10 students. And once I get those extra 10 students, I'm going to take that money and I'm going to pay someone to go with me. And that way, what you do is you go out, you still go, but you go for 5 hours and you pay 2 other people to go with you and do the 5 hours as well with you. You're getting your 15 hours done, and now you've got 10 extra hours a week. Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. And so you know you can do a lot with 10 hours, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So
Sure. Yeah.
that's the simple strategy. That's how I did it. I just decided, okay, how do I leverage? And that's what I've done the whole time. And that's what group teaching is. Group teaching is leveraging. It's about doing, and it's not changing your students, by the way. And this is something that gets misunderstood by teachers, students even, is that just because we're teaching in group doesn't mean that we're saying, hey, we're going to bring 5 of you together and then we're going to give you less value. We're going to give you less, the program won't be as good because we're not giving you that one-on-one attention. What we're doing is we're bringing you together and we're going to give you just as good experience, maybe even better, and because studies show that small groups actually work better than one-on-one. So we're going to bring that together. So we're going to really give you more value for your money. You're going to pay less than you would for a private teacher. And for my time, if you want to get me one-on-one, hey, it's going to cost you, $200 an hour for my time one-on-one, because that's what I get paid as a group teacher. If you want me, that's what I'm worth. So I'm going to let you have access to me and my experience and my system of teaching, because part of G4 immediately raises your value as a teacher, because it's not just you're part of a network. And you're gaining the experience of myself and everybody else in the network. So people are tapping into that at a price that's very affordable. They're learning in a group, but they're learning from a teacher who is actually very good at teaching in groups and should be, in theory, better than your average private teacher. So the idea, so when anyone questions it and anyone just says, oh, $25 for a lesson, the guy down the road, he charges $25 for private lessons, and yeah, well, he's an 18-year-old that's taught 3 people in his life and has no system, no history, no experience. Not that you necessarily put it in that way, by the way. You understand that I don't say that to students. What I do is I focus them on what G4 is all about. I never criticize the competition because I don't know the competition, firstly, and also it's just not a good way to do things. When you start criticizing competition, it really just shows the immaturity of you as a teacher and a business operator. I always actually praise any competition. I will the teacher down the road, if I have heard anything, I'll only share good things. So I'll just say, yeah, I've heard he's a good teacher, or I've heard she's a great teacher, she's really good with kids. Yeah, look, if you want to try him or her first, that's great. What I recommend is let's do our intro and just see what it's like, so you can compare for yourself and see whether or not it's what you're looking for. So that's another story, but the idea here is that you are leveraging yourself all the time. So by group teaching, what you're doing is you should, in theory, be spending less time teaching, but delivering just the same quality. And as you grow your numbers, then what you're doing is you're leveraging your time by taking people with you and getting more flyers done. So then your business starts to grow. So when you bring those let's say there's two people in to do 5 hours each, which is 10 hours. That gets you an extra spare 10 hours that you can now work on your business. And then the flyers are still getting done. You're still growing at the same rate. And then you get to the next 10 students. And now what you've got is you've got extra profit, plus you've got people doing your flyers for you. and you've got 10 spare hours a week. Make sense? Yep. All right, I can see Microsoft, but that's cool. So
yeah, it makes sense. Absolutely. Thanks, mate.
Excellent. No worries. So yeah, it's all about the leverage, and keep looking. And systems, when you're systemizing things, what you're doing is you're leveraging. That's the whole idea of a system. It saves you time and you know, the idea of any system, and that's where when the FileMaker file comes into play. The idea is that it's going to make things easier. There's going to be problems. There's going to be things that we need to change and fix, and you know, whatever. But overall, it's going to bring the information that you guys are working with every day, and make it easier. You know, just things like, I know what it was like for me anyway, and especially as your schools grew. When we had 5 schools, we had 5 timetables, and in each school we had sometimes we had Strathfield, we had I think 4 studios going at different sometimes, and Northbridge had 2 studios, and so multiple studios. So we were looking, I think, up to 8 or 9 studios running at one time. Very timetable was sort of very hard to sort of keep control of, and that's why Emma was really good at that, because she's a very organized person. So she was able to sort of know where everything was and find things. But generally for everyone else, it was a kind of a bit of an ordeal working through to find what you needed. Whereas the new system is going to make that much easier. And things like, just as an example, you'll have the student on the timetable. So let's say they're at Monday at 4 o'clock. What you guys are probably doing now, if you need to find their email address, is that you've got to go to a separate database where you've got your list of contacts. You search for them by putting their name in there, or you scroll down if it's in alphabetical order to find them. What's on this timetable is you're just going to click their name. Just click on their name, and bang, you'll go straight to their card with all their details. It'll show everything you need to know about them, from notes to contact email address, contact phone number, what their mother's name is, father's name, what their dog's name is if you want. So you've got all this information there together at the click of a button with them on the timetable. So just that in itself should save you a lot of time. Just that one feature will save you a lot of time. Other things like having all the being able to click it on a button and see all the available times. So it gets rid of all the other people on the timetable. So you're not scrolling through your timetable to find what available times you've got. You just click a button and it gives you all the available times. And you can hide times if you don't want them to appear. So it's like it's got Monday 6 a.m. in the morning. You're probably not going to have a lot of students at Monday at 6 a.m., but it's there if you want it. But you can hide it, so that way it doesn't appear on the timetable. So you can just have the times that appear that are available, and you can click on that button. So there's all these kind of things that I'm sort of building into it slowly, and it's all about saving time. Even if it saves you 5 seconds or 10 seconds, I'm considering it. I'm thinking, how can I do that? Finding your inquiries, finding people who have the date range. Okay, people who've inquired in the last week, people who've inquired in the last month, last year, whatever. So helping you to quickly sort through and find what you need, and to keep everything in front of you is the idea. And so what I want you to do is to take the things that I'm doing, such as what I've done with the G4 guitar method, and what we're doing with the FileMaker Pro. And I want you to look at them and think about your own business and how you can do that within your own business, how you can create systems on top. Because what I'm doing is, again, it's a platform, so you can build on top of it, so you can do things that will make your process easier. Now I've got Monty live from the US on the line here. Let's bring Monty into the conversation.
That's right.
Monty, so we're talking about working on your business, not just in it, building systems, and I know that this is something that you are interested in, and you're trying to kind of get more time, because you've got a family as well to
That's right.
to look after.
Yeah.
So
they want dinner every night. I don't know why.
It's crazy. They just want to be fed all the time. I don't know what's wrong. That's said to my daughter. Every day you come to me asking for food. When's it going to stop?
At their age, I knew how to cook for myself. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, exactly. We knew how to beg. We knew how to plead with people. And
Yep.
So in your business, what we want to look at is there something that you find, and it can be anything around this. I'm not sort of there's no particular question here, but just generally on the topic of working on your business in it, can you give me an example of where you're working on your business at the moment?
Today I finished that W-9 form in the that letterhead. So
Great.
they want to pay
Excellent.
for 6 months in advance at least. So, you know,
Fantastic.
if that all works out, you know, that's $594 right there.
Fantastic. Excellent.
So,
excellent.
Yeah. And then what else did I do today?
So you've just a
I
letterhead.
went by the grocery store and then put some cards on a bulletin board while I was down there at the post office. So
Excellent. Excellent.
you know, little
Okay.
something every day.
Yeah. So you're building on, and the idea is, so if we just look at the letterhead, for example, you know, and that's something that it's good that you asked for that, because I hadn't actually thought about it as even into the FileMaker program that I'm building. I think, okay, now anything you guys ask for, I've got to think about how can we build that in. So yeah, we need a letterhead that's built into the FileMaker program. So you can just, what you're going to do is go to the contact. So let's say that I want to email, you know, Monty. So what I do is I go and find you your contact, your card, and then it'll have I'll create a layout, a form where I can just go to that, bang, and there's a letterhead there already set up for you. So in other words, that I can email you. This is if I was a teacher and you're a student, then I can email you where it already says, you know, hi Monty, and then waiting for my text, and that's it, and it's ready to go. And when I click send, it sends it to that person's email address. So it's simple as that.
It looked like you had that already prepared.
Yeah,
last year sometime.
Yeah, on the FileMaker, because this is the FileMaker program, which is going to be hopefully ready soon. Yeah, I haven't got it on there. I might have had it somewhere else on something, like just as a. But what this will do, just so you understand it as well, is that you can have standard text for your emails. So there'll be a drop-down list, and you can create whatever text you want. And what it'll do, the email will be kind of like, you know, hi Monty, and then under that there's a drop-down menu of all different kinds of emails that you can create. So then, and so it could be, just wanted to update you on our, you know, no makeup policy, blah 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 blah. So you're just clicking a button, bang, it puts all the text there, and then you send that email off. So it's a standard email. Things like that, and the idea is to save you time in doing whatever you do. And you can make as well. You can create, you know, standard emails. You can go in and edit them, edit the text if you want to update it or change it. You know, that's so. This is where it's going to make a big difference once we get onto it. And even though the reporting is going to take a bit of time, in the first version of it, the reporting will be fairly light. Because I realized that if I keep working on the reporting now, it's just going to take forever to get to you guys. So I just kept the reporting very light. The reporting will, all it will do for the first stage is help you with inquiries, so it'll give you a report on the inquiries, and it'll give you an ROI. So in other words, a return on investment per student. So you can see, you can have all your students in there, and as long as when they start, you put the start date in, and when they stop, you put the end date in. You'll get it. It'll give you a value of that student, and that way, and then it'll give you a total value. So you can look at all the, you know, let's say you've enrolled 100 students over the last year, and you can look at the value of those students, and you go, wow, I've, you know, taken in $100,000 in fees from these students. So that's the idea. And that way you can look at your marketing and say, well, I've spent $10,000 in marketing and I've got $100,000 back. 10-to-1 return, that's pretty good.
Nice. Yeah, you were pretty quick on that, so that was awesome.
Say again, sorry?
You were really quick on emailing me back, so thank you.
My pleasure.
I wasn't expecting that. And my wife helped me convert the file, and everything's good. I got it in the mail today. So.
Oh, excellent, excellent.
It's
Fantastic.
like a state-funded music fund for, you know, it's probably underprivileged kids.
Yeah.
Something like that. So I've
on
actually gotten a student that way before, so I know this person already. So.
Okay. Oh,
Nice.
it's interesting on that topic. A couple of things that come up, which I'll just sort of throw on that, which you kind of remind me of. There, here in Japan, I'm looking at establishing the G4 Japan arm of it, and they have
Yeah.
a kind of an organization here, which helps international businesses set up in Japan, and they provide things for you to help you. Free. They give free services like accounts, and they can even give you some free office space for a while to use, and they even have grants where they'll actually give you money to help you set up. But funnily enough, I read a book this morning on the Blinkist site, and it was about the fact that most of the big success stories that we hear about, your Facebooks, your Google, your who else did they mention? Apple even, but they're originally or partly state funded. In other words, they didn't start with their own money. They actually got funding from government. And we know that with Google, right? They were, and they still are, have been heavily supported by Stanford University. So they got they did get seed money from a venture capitalist, but they also got help from the U.S. government. Facebook was the same. They got assistance from the U.S. government. And what the book was talking about is the fact that governments are the ones who actually take the biggest risks. Most people in business don't take big risks, and I know that because I'm in business and I'm not into taking big risks. And whereas governments do, and it's partly because it's not their money. It's easier to throw somebody else's money out there when you work with the government. You just sign things,
sure.
You sign checks. You don't actually own the money, so there's less. But it's through those things. Even the internet was a U.S. government initiative. That's where it all started. It started through the U.S. military. So the most things that most technology that we see today, or breakthroughs, have come through a certain amount of state-sponsored money, and most of it is the high risk. So in other words, the early seed money for things that were high risk, and they're still doing it. The government does it all the time, and that's what governments do. So my point here is that you should look into what your governments are offering, in terms of incentives and business. Grants and bonuses. So have a look at that. I've just got, and I'll put in for it, and it looks like that I'm going to get about $20,000 back from the Australian government in marketing. In other words, it's this marketing initiative where what they do is they say, show us how much you spend in marketing, and we're going to give you a percentage back. We'll give you up to 50% of what you spent on international marketing, not local marketing. This is an international thing. So in other words, to bring in international business into Australia. So I didn't know about it. It was through one of the marketing seminars that I went to that they alerted me to it. And this is why I go to these marketing seminars, because there's always people who know things I don't know. And so have a look, see what's available, because it's likely the government has money to throw around, because they do. They allocate a certain amount of money, and not just your federal government, but your local government as well. If you're doing something, if you go to your local, Pittsburgh government, whatever, and say, hey, I want to build this music school. It's great for kids. It's great for families. It'll really help the community, and I want to do it. But it's going to cost me $100,000 to set up. Then they may give you some. They may say, well, we'll give you some money. Here's $20,000. Here's a $20,000 grant. So look into it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, cool. We touched on this on a Hangout before, and
we did.
Of course,
I
forgot all about it. Thanks for reminding me. And there's so many things to. We're just tapping the tip of the iceberg here.
We are, and really, it's as I can't remember who said it, but trillions and trillions of dollars change hands every day, and you just need to get into the flow of it. And part of that, those trillions of dollars, most of those trillions of dollars are exchanges for investment and whatever. But yeah, it's called the velocity of money, and the velocity of money is also very good for the economy. And one of the things that's kind of been suppressing our economies in the last 10 years is the slowdown of the velocity of money. And the money is actually, I don't know if you guys realize this, but money today is actually moving slower than it was in the Depression. And so that's why economies are stagnated at the moment. Things are stalling because they need to get the velocity of money moving, because people are worried and they think, oh, I'm going to hang on to my money because I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You know, all these things are going on in the world. It's a crazy world out there. But as people's confidence builds again, or Apple release a new iPhone or something, the velocity of money picks up again, and things start to pick up. But it is I think it is improving from all sort of reports. But and I make this point too because right now we are in tough times. You know, economically, it's a lean time in history. We will look back on this period, this decade, this last 10 years, and go, wow, they were lean times. But it's going to, you know, it happened in the 70s, I think, late 60s, 70s, where things really slowed down, and then it picked up again, and then we had the boom of the 80s. And this is just basically these periods in time. Things go in cycles, and so if you can build your business during these times, then when the booms come back again, things are just gonna go through the roof, and that's how it works in business. I was lucky because my mother was in business, so I got to see her go through it. There was a period in the 80s where, you know, things were crazy and the stock market crashed. It was like our 2008 GFC. It crashed for her back in the 80s, and I watched her whole business collapse because she was, you know, borrowed up to the hilt on everything. So it hit her hard, and that's why you want to protect yourself. And that's why she started in good times, the tough times hit, and she got, you know, pummeled. And that's where if you start in tough times and you get through it, when the good times come, everything's great.
Yeah, it'll snowball.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're just in a great position. You're used to being lean. You know, it comes back to that idea of, you know, when immigrants come to, you know, from poor countries like, you know, poor parts of Russia or whatever, which is common in the US, and they come there and they just see opportunity everywhere. And they're so used to living lean that when they come to America, they do well. They do really well because they can keep things tight. Whereas, you know, us fat cats, us, you know, kind of, you know, Australians, Americans, and whatever, who grow up in our own countries, who, you know, get whatever we want and demand it. You know, we spend I think something like we spend 5% more than we earn every year. Every year we're going backwards. Whereas you look at countries like Japan, for instance, here, they actually save 25% of their income. In China, it's even more. It's something like 50% of their income, although that's changing lately. So all these kind of things, it's just good to know and understand that within, you know, your kind of situation, that you want to take advantage of your situation and look at things. I'm an optimist, as you can tell. I always look at the positives. I always look to see, well, what's the good about today? What's the good about today's situation? Okay, we're in tougher economic times, but the good thing is, if we can survive these times, when the good times come, yeah, we're going to be in a much better position. Cool.
Definitely.
So, any other questions, guys, on any other topic? Doesn't have to be related to this. Anything else? Monty, you got anything else you want to raise?
I'm just surprised I made, you know.
Say again? Sorry, I missed that. Cut it out.
I was just surprised I made it, you know. I work till 8 across town, so.
Okay, yeah. What time is it there now?
At least I caught the tail end a little bit.
What time is it for you guys?
It is 9 o'clock Eastern time.
Okay, cool.
The States.
Cool. Excellent.
So,
excellent. Okay, cool. So, Michael, I noticed you turning your mic off. Did you want to ask something?
Yeah, I was just in the last hangout we had, we were talking about the once you get to a certain point, bumping the intro price up to $199. I was just thinking as well, will the regular group lesson price of $99, do you see that going up as well, or is that something that's going to be consistent, you know, for forever?
I don't think there's any need to raise it. I think what you want to do is maximize. I think there's enough in it to really make it work and leverage, and that is that you get your groups up to 5 per group as much as possible. You get the whoever's you hire teachers to sort of step in, and this is where I was talking about sub-franchising, is that personally, and that's why I did what I did, but personally I think what you guys should aim at now is building a school up to a certain point, and then selling the school and sub-franchising it. So maybe you get it up to 50 students, and then because a lot of guys out there, you guys are the kind of the brave ones. You guys are the 1% that stepped up and did it yourself. But I'm not saying these other guys aren't brave. In fact, they're probably smart. Smarter than we are. In that they did that when you've got a business up to 40, 50 students, and they can walk in and it's all running for them, and they pay you however much money, and then go on as a sub-franchisee, then you're going to get a lump sum for whatever they pay for it, plus you're going to get an ongoing fee as a sub-franchise. So that's what I would do, because it creates a passive income for you. You're going to have to support them a little bit, but eventually, same in my capacity, where you support them, but you have a hangout once a week with them. They're still going to get all the systems of G4, so that should all be pretty well in place. If you do it well and you set it up well, then they probably won't need much maintenance. And you can keep growing on that. So my idea is that G4 is global, and that every area has got a G4 teacher in it, and you can take a big share of that. You could have 100 teachers operating as sub-franchisees, and and not have to teach at all. That's what I would do. That would be given what we've got now. That's what I would be thinking about.
Cool. Yeah, I was just out of curiosity. I was just asking. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. No. Good question. Okay, Joachim, any last questions?
No. Maybe with the FileMaker, is there at the moment a feature where you can transfer the emails to like iWeber or MailChimp or something like that, or do you do that manually?
Yeah, you can basically just the click of a button, you can export all your contacts.
Yeah.
And you can decide what contacts they are. So if you want to export, all your contacts, which you probably wouldn't want to, because some of your contacts are going to be, a mixture of whatever. But if you wanted all your current students, right, you could, if you want to export all your current students to AWeber, then yeah, you can just hit. What you do is just go to current students, and then click the export button, and then it'll export it as a CSV file, which you can upload then.
Yep. Great.
All right, Fernando, any last questions before we sign off and I get back to the cold weather?
Are you in Japan now? Permanently?
I'm in Japan, yes. I'm in Japan.
All right.
In the snow.
Cool.
Yeah, the weekend we went to the snow, and yeah, that was good. It was a good day, but it's yeah. I'm not used to the cold, so I'm getting used to it though.
Right, I was trying to reach.
Sorry, Fernando, you go. Any last questions, Fernando?
Yeah, no, I'm all good. Thanks, Dave.
All right.
It was great.
Excellent, guys. All right, well, we'll sign off, and yeah, I'll be back in, what is it, about 8 hours from now. So yeah, if you want to join me then, you're welcome to. Otherwise, have a great weekday, whatever.
All right.
And we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Nice.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Night.